For decades, NBC wasn't just a television network. It was the network. From the 1980s through the early 2010s, it defined appointment television with a lineup of legendary sitcoms. But for every beloved pilot and classic episode, there comes a bittersweet moment that fans both anticipate and dread: the series finale. This is the nerd history of NBC sitcom finales. Look at how 4 of the most iconic sitcoms ended their runs, why those endings mattered, and what they said about the characters and the audiences that loved them. We're talking about Cheers, Seinfeld, Friends, and The Office. Some bowed out gracefully, some left us confused, but all of them became part of television history. And today we're going to start where everybody knew your name. Welcome to the Nerd History Podcast. On May 20th, 1993, over 80 million people tuned in to watch Sam Malone close up the bar one last time in the Cheers finale, One for the Road. That night, the show that helped launch the modern sitcom era poured one final drink, and it was one to remember. The episode kicks off with a bang. Diane Chambers returns to Boston after a 6-year absence. If you followed Cheers from the beginning, you know their relationship was central to the early seasons. The finale wastes no time to bring Diane and Sam back together. A whirlwind rekindling leads to an impulsive decision. Sam and Diane will get married and move to Los Angeles. Yeah, that fast. But the sitcom magic doesn't quite hold up to real life. On their flight to LA, they realize they're chasing an old dream. Nostalgia isn't enough. They part ways again. In the end, Sam returns to the bar, not broken, but accepting. When a mysterious customer knocks at the locked door, Sam straightens a picture of Geronimo on the wall and says gently,
"Sorry, we're closed."
It's poetic, quiet, and deeply fitting. Cheers wasn't about grand gestures, it was about the rhythm of regulars, the comfort of familiar voices, and the reality that life goes on. The finale gave us closure, without closing the door entirely. Fast forward 5 years to May 18th, 1998. NBC aired the final episode of Seinfeld. Over 76 million people watched and then immediately started arguing. Titled simply The Finale, this took a meta-legalistic approach to saying goodbye to Jerry, George, Elaine, and Kramer. The gang finds themselves stranded in a small Massachusetts town after Kramer's unusual antics caused their private jet to make an emergency landing. There was a lot of setup. As they kill time, they witness a man getting mugged, and instead of helping, they film it and make jokes. Big mistake. Under a new Good Samaritan law, they're arrested for failing to help. And suddenly, the entire final episode becomes a courtroom drama, with dozens of former guest stars testifying about what terrible people our main 4 characters are. This wasn't a sentimental send-off. It was a brutal roast. They're convicted and sent to prison, and the show ends with Jerry doing stand-up in a jail jumpsuit.
So, anyone from Cell Block D?
I am.
I'll talk slower.
No redemption, no growth, just Seinfeld. The finale was controversial then and still is. But here's the thing, it was consistent. Seinfeld never pretended to have heart. It was a show about nothing, and its final joke was, essentially, these people were always awful, and we loved them anyway. On May 6, 2004, Friends said goodbye with an emotional finale that brought a decade of romantic tension, inside jokes, and latte-sipping loyalty to a heartfelt close. The two-part episode, titled The Last One, focuses on the biggest question still hanging over the show. Will Ross and Rachel finally get it right? Spoiler, yes. Rachel is about to leave for Paris to start a new job. Ross realizes, surprise, surprise, that he still loves her. After a few sitcom hurdles, he rushes to the airport to declare his feelings, but she gets on the plane. Then, in one of the most quoted moments in TV history, Ross returns home heartbroken, only to hear her voice on his answering machine. She got off the plane. Finally, they're together. Meanwhile, Monica and Chandler welcome their adopted twins and prepare to move to the suburbs. The group takes one final walk through the empty apartment. Monica sets her key on the counter. One by one, the others do the same. It ends with Chandler asking, "Where?" in response to a suggestion to grab coffee. Friends delivered exactly what fans hoped for. A mix of tearful goodbyes, meaningful resolutions, and hope for the future. No major surprises, no character assassinations, just 6 friends growing up and moving on. May 16th, 2013, The Office ended its 9-season run with a finale simply titled Finale. Set a year after the in-universe documentary has aired, the Dunder Mifflin crew reunites in Scranton for Dwight and Angela's wedding. And yes, Michael Scott returns for one act, one perfect, unforgettable act. Michael, now happily married and a father, appears as Dwight's surprise best man. He doesn't dominate the finale, he doesn't need to. One line,
"That's what she said,"
was enough to bring fans to tears. The episode focuses on closure. Andy reflects on his downward spiral and eventual redemption. Erin reunites with her birth parents. Kevin's running a bar. Stanley's retired. Oscar's running for office. Everyone has changed, but the core feels familiar. Jim and Pam have sold their house and are preparing to move. Pam thanks the documentary crew and the audience for watching her story unfold. The final talking head is perfect. The characters marvel that their lives were worthy of filming in the first place.
There's a lot of beauty in ordinary things. Isn't that kind of the point?
The Office finale is gentle, reflective, and funny. A rare balancing act that left even the most jaded fans satisfied. Before we wrap up, let's take a quick look at a few other NBC sitcoms that left their mark with unforgettable finales. Shows that may have not had Seinfeld-level hype, but delivered thoughtful, memorable goodbyes. First up was Frasier with Goodnight Seattle in 2004. Frasier Crane's finale is as refined as the character himself. As his family moves forward, Martin remarrying, Niles and Daphne having a child, Frasier takes a final leap of faith. The show ends with him arriving in Chicago instead of San Francisco, chasing love once more. A classy, poetic farewell to a cerebral sitcom. Parks and Rec ended in 2015 with One Last Ride. With its optimistic, flash-forward structure, Parks and Rec gave us joyful peeks into each character's future. Ron finds serenity in nature, Donna thrives in business, and Leslie, well, she's clearly destined for greatness. It's hopeful, funny, and a perfect reflection of the show's warm heart. The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air finished in 1996 with I Done. The Banks family moves out, leaving Will to reflect on how far he's come. The final shot of him standing alone in the empty living room is both quiet and powerful, a heartfelt ending to a show that balanced comedy with cultural honesty. And there are more. 30 Rock gave us surreal but sweet goodbye. Scrubs, even with its network shift and final season that we don't actually talk about because it ended in season 8, and it offered a beautiful send-off with my finale. One of the most perfect finales ever, honestly. The Good Place went out on an ambitious and deeply emotional note, exploring what it means to find peace and say goodbye on your own terms. Superstore wrapped with a heartfelt thank you for shopping at Cloud 9. NBC sitcoms have given us so many lives to laugh with and to say goodbye to. And in every finale, there's a little bit of truth. That change is inevitable, but the stories we've shared stay with us. NBC sitcom finales tell us as much about their eras as they do their characters. Cheers showed us that sometimes you stay where you belong, even if the past knocks on your door. Seinfeld reminded us that not all endings are warm and fuzzy, and that's okay. Friends made us believe that love, growth, and coffee with your crew could carry you through anything. And The Office reminded us that even the dullest workplace is full of stories worth telling. In an age of streaming and binges, series finales don't always feel like events anymore. But for those who gathered around their TVs to say goodbye with millions of others, they were cultural touchstones. They marked the end of an era. They made us laugh, cry, and sometimes argue. They reminded us that goodbyes, like sitcoms, are rarely perfect, but they're part of the story. Thanks for watching the nerd history of NBC sitcom finales. Now let's grab a coffee.
Where?